Hello. Welcome back to episode 2 of The Odd Couple. I'm Arjun.
I'm Siddharth.
And I'm Dr. Sheesh.
Hey, Dr. Sheesh, what's up?
What's happening? What's happening?
Dr. Sheesh. I'm Siddharth. I'm Arjun. I'm Dr. Sheesh.
Yeah, that just sounds so cool every time you hear Dr. Sheesh. Dr. Sheesh in the house.
A lot of hard work behind it.
No, but at least he studied. What did you study? Like graduation.
Me?
I'm talking Dr. Sheesh, I know that. He's got doctor. You and me are Mister. What did you study?
Unfortunately, actually, I did my mechanical engineering, like any quintessential South Indian. So, what did you study?
Hey, okay. So then but check. I studied economics. Okay. In MCC. So one second. Bugger, he studied medicine. He's a doctor. I studied economics. I am not an economist. You studied mechanical engineer, but you haven't built any giant bridges.
I'm not a
You're
mechanic.
not a mechanic.
Yeah.
But I think that's very much because I didn't have much option. It's like once you get into the science field, you don't have much avenues to branch out in the thing. The whole thing of now that hospital management itself is the smallest branch out I can probably think. But that also is just arise now. It was never there before. Like it was not such a big thing. So that is the reason why I probably am still a doctor because I didn't have any other option but to end up being a doctor. But with you guys, I think probably you had branches which you could.
Yeah, because I don't think you know what
I don't think so. I think there's a lot of doctors who are like Dr. Shiv Kera and your doctor. Who's that other guy? Who talks a lot of stuff on consciousness and other stuff.
Chopra, Deepak Chopra.
Deepak Chopra, and I mean you have a lot of doctors who actually are quite intellectual and
Dude,
and
first
and
of
they
all,
give very
they
deep.
became successful multimillionaire doctors. Then they started doing shit.
Correct.
Yeah, not like they just
Okay, so you're you studied economy. What is it called? Economics.
economics.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Right. So you study economics. I did my engineering. Dr. Sheesh obviously studied
No, but he
doctoring,
was
right?
right. No, like you're saying medicine. He's saying the path itself. Once you set foot on it, doesn't give you much choice. You have to end out as a doctor. No.
Or I have to give it all up and do something else.
Because for us at that point, I think service industries were hiring everybody much, and then in no, because anyone could get into media, advertising, or any of those things like super easily,
I think that's the difference. Not everybody can get a medical seat.
unless you go through the entire thing. Yeah,
I would rather we not look at it as just medicine per se. I would look at it as the whole educational system in India is the olden days mass production scheme where you are creating another brick in the wall. Education being the factory, and the student being the product of that factory, which is the brick in the wall, and we are just creating bricks and bricks and bricks. There's nothing special, there's no new brick. It's a standard red brick color brick which you're creating out of every student in India. So I'm not going to limit it to medicine. I say it's the same with math, with anybody who takes a math major, or anybody's taking engineering or economics and stuff like that. There is no diversification of your knowledge. It is just how much you can ratta and you can put
Yeah,
down.
but again, this ratifying and putting on paper has also brought across great doctors, great economists, great
Absolutely,
thinkers in India.
absolutely.
Despite it, let me put it that way.
Yes, but that was the need of the hour in the 1800s during the time of the industrial revolution, where they really needed to create a standardization, a mode of education for those people to create good doctors, create great engineers, everything. Now we did that, but now what are we doing with creating all those intellectual doctors and those intellectual engineers? You created them. Now what's the next step? Have we evolved in our educational system, and are we going to create super doctors and supercomputer engineers? We're not doing that. We're stuck in that
Or
status.
pushing students to encouraging R&D and stuff like that.
Yes,
That's something which lacks. We just kind of get into specialization. Oh, you know coding, end of story. You
yes.
want to be a software engineer? Oh, you want to be a doctor? It's very generic. It's very superficial. Nobody goes into deep diving. Like I still remember when I was doing my engineering. I love the subjects. It was great. Yeah, teachers were okay. Some were really good, and I wasn't an exceptional student either, right? So it takes two hands to clap, as they say.
One thing I've noticed is our schooling, Indian schooling till 12th standard is better than Western schooling till 12th standard. Their schooling is a shambles till 12. But it's reversed. Their university levels, their college levels are like way higher, and it's topsy turvy for us. Our college levels generally plummet.
Yeah, so the whole thing is that I completely agree. Our current education system, whether it's at school level, I think school level is not too bad. Honestly, it's pretty decent. I think Indian students fare a lot better than the counterparts
But
across the
that's not
globe,
true again, Sidhu. I
except
don't
for the
think
Chinese, I guess. One second, let me just complete. What I'm saying is that the next step, which is your graduation, is just a joke in India, right? There is no, I mean, everybody just kind of copies and do every kind of thing for their project. There's no going to a library, doing hardcore research, getting your footnotes in place, plagiarism being a big no-no. I know it happens in few places, but it's not rampant, or it should not. It should be the norm as such. And then you have your higher studies. To get any kind of seat that you want, you need to spend so much of money in capitation fees. So you don't need to be necessarily smart. If your daddy is rich, it's good enough, right? And then you have your reservation system. It's riddled with so many bullet holes that it's ridiculous. So your education gets kind of lost within all the other kind of problems which is there that exist in our country, uh, whether it's from opportunity or the quality of education.
are you talking about our public? Are you talking about our public system or our private system? Because our public system is in shambles. Our dropout rate in public system is 40% apparently compared to a country like US, which is 10%.
Obviously, public, the government whole sector schooling is horrible, right? Whether there's lack of teachers or lack of funds or misappropriations of funds, you know that. That is something which cannot be controlled. It can be controlled if can be, but my point was purely from a private education, school education in India, right? That particular level is, I think we have an upper hand when we go when we have students. I have friends who wrote the SATs. Point number one, cracking SATs is the easiest for an Indian student.
That's the trend in India, macha. If one guy cracks it, no, he'll go open center over there, have 100 students, and then he'll tell them how to crack it. And that way, India is very like
But 1280, a student like Arjun, right? I'm not saying Arjun is a bad student. I'm just saying somebody who probably didn't. Um, I don't think he's the smartest student or the first rank in the class, right? He himself, Aram se got 1280 in SATs.
Yeah, it's just English and math, and it's just nothing. There's nothing else to it. It's just basic English and math, and who's to judge anyone's intelligence based on?
so. But Sidhu, that doesn't make Arjun a really smart person according
No,
to
no,
you.
no. It is an aptitude test, right? I'm just saying if you compare
Yeah.
Arjun,
So that's a standardized. That's a
one second.
standardized
My
test.
point is that the comparison, even because it's standardized, right? It is a commentary on the education system of how good.
The guy who created the standardized test is the one who said that this is too crude a form to assess any person by to judge their knowledge.
No, I get it. Yeah.
No, no. I'll tell you another problem this system causes is pressure on students also. Now, if you imagine this to be a factory line, where we are putting all the students on a factory line and you're dropping portions on them, right? So at the age of 1, this portion, at the age of at 10, this portion, at the age of 18, this portion. You expect these children, as they're flowing down this factory line, to be all like getting the information. They might not be ready for that information. They're not the same. No two mind is the same. But at the end of the day, you then do a quality assessment at the end of this test line, and then you grade them like how you grade meat as to A, B, and C, and you stamp them and say your grade A meat, your grade B meat, and your grade C meat. So it really is a production line, and but the people who are going through this all don't necessarily have to peak when that information is being given to them. They probably, like a student who is 5 might not get it, but at the age of 10 might take that same information and build a huge substance with it. So
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
understand what I'm trying to say, the holes in it.
I completely get it.
And that's the problem with me with the standard
No,
model.
it cannot be standardized. That's the classic problem, right? Of when you have such a large population or any kind of thing, it's easy to do something that you're saying with probably 100 people, 150 students. It makes sense. Now, when you have millions of students, you have to standardize at some point,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I
correct. You
agree
only have
that
X
there
amount of
has to
seats and you
be
need to fill
probably
those.
certain filters or certain identification thing saying that okay, this kid is more skewed towards creativity. This kid is more skewed towards sports. Sports. I think everybody is a little on point where they give opportunities and stuff. But especially the kind of kids who really, I know Ashish, Dr. Sheesh, you and I, we know that from our school days, there were some kids who really, really lacked. They would get belittled in front of the whole class. They were probably
Absolutely,
dyslexic and all of
absolutely.
that. Dyslexia was a alien concept.
Not more. I bet you
Exactly,
know what
right?
the hell there.
And I used to feel so happy. At least I was smarter than that dumb fellow. But the point I'm trying to make is that that
We just
guy is
never put.
so much more creative and doing completely different thing. And I even in engineering, I met some really smart students who were there who couldn't speak a word of English, who couldn't communicate properly, who couldn't write properly, had a complete breakdown of self confidence. But you leave him alone in a workshop, and he will make the most amazing wind turbine out of some scrap that he found on the road. And he was sitting and charging stuff.
So that's the point, Sidhu. It took us now sitting here today, and I'm sure our parents also. I mean, the need of the hour for our parents was different. It was like the socio-economic scene at that time was not as much as it is now, and so it was building exactly. So we were in that whole churn out mode of, yeah, you need to. It made sense for me in a certain way. Okay, what they were driving to, but in our current scenario, where at least maybe we are blessed and we come from a decent socio-economic background, and maybe there are people who might not relate to what I'm saying because they don't have it. But what I'm saying is that having been given the basic stuff, it took us, you know, now we're at the age of 40, that now we are coming to this realization that, what, much all that what I did for so long. Now, maybe in my field, yeah, mine is a very closed, narrow field, which is, driven that way, that okay, what I did is what I'm using. But that's not the case for you, and that's not the case for 80% of our students who come out. The system and what they are ending up to do are two different things. And maybe if we tinkered that whole thing and identified people what they're good at, and some people, why do they need math? They're never going to use it. You use a calculator, you use a computer, you use your phone and you talk inside and say add two and two, it'll tell you. You know, and they don't have the aptitude for it, but we drive it to a point in that person, and we say that, what, it's like that the thing about the fish, like Einstein says about the fish, which is, if you test a fish on how well it can climb a tree, you will always make that fish feel that he's a loser, right? It can never climb that tree. Einstein. Right, so that's what I'm saying, that we need to identify what they're good at, and education doesn't determine, and the stamp of A, B, C doesn't determine what that kid is great at. That kid, I mean, the same effort I had put in into probably playing my guitar, maybe today I'd be a great composer, right? But I chose not to. I chose to sit down and put all my effort into becoming a doctor.
Suggest that you should give up doctoring and open a restaurant. He's a brilliant cook.
He's a brilliant cook. Really?
Ashish is like a
Yeah,
mind blowing
that's the
cook.
Wow.
retirement plan.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Multi talented, damn.
Retirement plan now.
Seriously.
Jack of
Jack of
all
all
trades
trades,
and master
master
of
of
all of it.
none.
Like
Master.
like fancy stuff and like everything. You're loving it. That type cook.
Non-veg. Non-veg.
Kick ass, sir.
Yeah, I can do anything.
Beef and pork and
I can take the inspiration and
Oh,
do whatever.
awesome. Shit.
Hmm. I'm going to go apply for Master Chef.
Hey,
okay, let's not push it. Yeah,
Just
okay. You're not that good and all.
he's
that's not.
your master chef type.
You're
He'll be
almost
Master Chef
there.
Madurai or something.
Cheap vada. Correct.
Coming back to it, yeah, I feel like all my skill sets for me have been picked up from 20 to 5 onwards. Like my life skills have been picked up from the age of 25. I mean,
I
you
agree.
know what I'm saying? You just, yeah,
Completely
And
agree.
that is most kids, and that's most kids. They come outside, they're not prepared for the world. They get thrown into the world because the educational system is just ratta marke, okay. They don't have any skill
Nobody
sets.
has.
They
Nobody
just
ever
have
had.
this yeah, that's what I'm saying. So what you just said is very true, which is at the age of 25 is when you start gathering the skill set. But ideally what we should have been doing is, have you seen that movie
Yep.
K-Pax?
yeah, K-Pax, yeah.
Yeah, and you know what he says, that they don't have an educational system. They have a system where you roam the whole
Oh,
world, and which is that you say that I want to become a baker. You go and start living with a baker. You bake with him, and you say I want to go to another baker. So you learn your skills by traveling and by living with the person who does that,
exactly,
and
yeah.
you can keep changing your
And
your
that's how
your
it used
stuff,
to be.
and
It used to be really long time back,
that's how it
right?
used
Yeah,
to
you
be. Yeah,
used
that's
to
how it used to be.
apprentice, no?
Yeah,
You'd
it used to
go
be an
and you'd learn
apprentice.
your skill.
Ooh,
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's like what this
I'm
guy,
telling you, the most I learned was on my
who's that Oscar-winning
yeah.
actor?
You had
My Left Foot and all that.
Who?
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Daniel Day-Lewis has
Yeah.
actually retired from acting, right? He stopped acting
Oh
after that
yeah, I heard
Phantom Thread, right?
of
And
the
right now he's apprenticing how to be a cobbler.
wow
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
for his left foot.
just one shoe I need to make.
One shoe I'll make, I'll be happy. But on the job and
Yeah.
apprenticeships, and yeah, you were saying you learned them.
There's another great movie where this book, the movie about this cardiologist and his black hair guy who was an assistant, and he was not a doctor, but he learned so much
Hmm.
about it that he actually completed the whole model of when they did the first blue baby
Hmm.
surgery. You know, so yeah, so this guy pretty much wrote most of the procedure, but he was never a doctor, you know. And I think it was Harvard Medical School which finally gave him an honorary degree, and he was put in the Hall of Fame of
Wow.
thing afterwards, you know. So, but that's what I'm saying. So the standardized version of of here's your material, learn this thing. Somebody was talking about flip education,
What
Flip edu-
education?
okay?
flip.
Flip education.
Hmm.
So yeah. So flip education is that we've come to the state where information is readily available to us,
Right.
right? Get onto Google, get onto anything, put your thing, you get your information. So all your lecture, all your books, everything is there.
Yep.
You don't need to come to school to get that information.
True.
So what they say is that you sit at home and go through the lectures. Nobody's going to come and show you the lecture. You click it, you watch it, you think. You come to school and your 45 minutes is discuss about what this thing is and what you didn't get about it or what you got. So
Exactly.
here you do
That's a
your
super.
homework.
You
You do your
homework
homework at
first.
school,
I mean, yeah,
at
yeah,
school, lecture at your own leisure time. So you soak in that information how you feel is necessary. Nick, I don't want this. This is not my
correct.
interest. This is
Yeah,
not my cup of tea. I'm going to
exactly.
learn
Yeah.
something else. You know. And then you go and attend that class which is running over there, and then discuss this with a guy who's a great teacher and say, you know what, I read about this and I think, what do you think about it? And so then you put two and two together. You know. So I found that very interesting and very different. You know.
Yeah, this thing
It's a
happens
different
quite a bit,
avenue.
but it's very interesting. It needs to be far more widespread
No, because
than having a teacher standing, okay,
It requires a
Siddharth,
huge
no,
change.
stand
I
up, read page number 23, paragraph 4, and then you're like,
No, because I remember when I was doing my this thing anthropology, the system was different. No, it's like this the
One
online
second. You
thing.
said you did
This is my
economics.
master's
What is
in
this?
this is my
Oh,
master's in
you did
anthropology.
masters.
Yes,
What is anthropology
Yeah.
for the common masses?
for the common mass, anthropology is the study of man. But there is like dozens of
Study of
Of
human
societies
beings.
and stuff like that.
no,
Societies,
Homo
what
right?
everyone,
sapiens.
okay, basically
Behavioral,
you have physical anthropology, which is how we did that whole Darwin theory, monkey to this.
The
Then you
missing link
have
and all of that.
then you have
uh-huh.
linguistic anthropology, societal anthropology, archaeological,
Oh, okay,
same,
okay, okay. So
so
it's a
study
huge.
of man, in various,
Okay,
but that's not it. After that you have to go into various disciplines. Just MA anthropology doesn't make sense. Then they go off into
mm-hmm.
linguistics, and then they go off into physical, then they go off into whatever, chemical and
Archaeology.
whatever. But anything, yeah. But the most people associate it is archaeology and what primitive man. Oh, you studied caveman, huh? Like that.
Yeah,
But
obviously.
anyway, but the thing is, that same system, like you said, no, what's happening, that flip thing, you had one lecture a week, okay? So everyone goes to the lecture. The rest of the week, you decide it's your study groups, you guys have to do tutorials yourselves to discuss. So batches of you, six, seven of you, or eight, nine of you will just gang up and you do a study group towards a project based on what that lecture was. So you've got the whole week
Exactly.
to deal with it.
I had a yeah, I had a subject of biochemistry. It's literally one of the most hated subjects because it's all equations and it's not. I mean, it's not liked
Uh-huh.
at all across the table. I missed the whole semester of it.
Okay.
Okay, but the way they teach biochemistry was very different, which was you have a textbook, right? And that textbook, for that textbook, they have a workbook,
Okay.
right? So let's say you open a topic which is
Uh-huh.
gluconeogenesis, right? So if you open that topic, there is a workbook. That workbook has questions about this whole topic. So you look at that and then you go into that first paragraph, you read
Okay.
about it, so they say what is gluconeogenesis, and
Yeah.
then you read
Uh-huh.
the first paragraph. So you got to sort this whole thing out, and then you go into class,
Uh-huh.
right? And then the teacher asks you questions
Eh,
about the topic, which you have solved at home, and then you come to class. And then she says that you don't know this. Why you don't know this? Let's discuss about this. What didn't you get about it? I'm telling you, that method of teaching biochemistry was the simplest subject for me, while most of the people hated it.
Hmm.
Because I learned it all on my own.
exactly. Yeah.
Nobody spoon fed it to me, and because I put one and one together on my own, it has stuck through me. It's something which is just there, and I enjoy
No,
doing
that's
it.
super actually. If you think
It's
about it,
it's
no,
easy.
here's all the material. Now you put one and one plus
Yeah,
one together. Does anyone, okay, I
together.
didn't
Yeah.
actually check it out, but did anyone check out the new changes to the system? What does that say?
The new reforms. I think that's a great. Yeah, I think that's superb. The new system says that there are three languages that you have to learn, and out of those three languages, two languages have to be Indian, and English is not an Indian language. So basically, Hindi you'll have to learn, and one regional language, and
But
English, which is your medium
wasn't
and
that
stuff.
the same then? No, first language, second language, third language.
No, we never had third
La,
language
la, la,
when
it was
we
not
grew
that.
up.
I mean, there's a lot more to it. I just
I
remember
had
because of
th-
our last
I
conversation
had
about
third
language,
language, but
which
third
is
language stops earlier.
hmm.
Second language continues a little bit.
So earlier, different school boards or different curriculums or like CBSE always had third language. ICSE I think gets over a little earlier or whatever it is, whereas matriculation didn't have it for the longest time, at least when we were studying. So right
Metric,
now
you
they're
guys
trying
didn't
to.
have a second language or
We
third
had second
language.
language, we didn't have third language.
No, we had a second language. We didn't have a third, but third got introduced a bit
I'm
later, I
talking
think.
when we were studying,
Like when
at least
Sri
at
Krish and
least
all
till
was there
the
and all of
till
those.
2000 year 2000 there was no third language. So my reference is solely when I studied in school. I'm sure a lot of things have changed, but I think what the effort right now is to standardize
No,
across
not
boards.
Not really, because I
But
look at
they're making a few changes in it.
I look at my kids' textbooks. Okay, so one is
Yep.
in the 12th and one is in the 8th. Dude,
Hmm.
there's really nothing that's changed since the textbooks are nicer, full graphics and all looks damn cool. Okay, but the stuff is just
The
it's
content
basically
is an
the
issue.
same. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the same.
Yeah.
Huh?
No.
Doc.
Yeah, but that is what I feel. I think that they're trying to reform that also. Which is that they're saying that at younger age itself they're going to bring in all this type of training, this thing, and internships and stuff like that, which they are trying to emphasize on
And it
skill
depends which
learning
school
with
also, right? Some
knowledge
schools are
learning.
quite proactive in actually what do you call stimulating all these creative side of the kids and stuff like that. Depends on which school. For example, the school that Dr. Sheesh and I went to, right, emphasize a lot on speaking English in school. Do not speak your native language in school. It is a very very typical Christian school thing, but that actually proved great. I mean, it was great. Then compared to kids from other schools, I really thought that by default we spoke much better English when we came out of school. Obviously, everybody else kind of over the years got onto the even playing field. But I'm just saying, different schools kind of,
Give you an edge.
yeah,
But when you were talking about this, I had this when you're talking about different
yep,
schools and different type of education and stuff. Over the last 5 years or 10 years, let's say, there's this trend now of new schools opening up, which is like the children learn at a different pace. They're not like given their what is it, homework is not taken home, it's done a thing. You go out for more field work and stuff.
yep.
There are a lot more schools. They're very expensive schools, but there are a lot of schools like that which are coming up. And I had this conversation with a lady friend of mine, and we were talking, and she was like, she hated
Oh,
this.
Doc was
Your name
having
shall not be
Doc was
revealed.
having a conversation with
Wo-
his lady friend.
Lady friend.
Uh, wife's in the
Yeah, who's not my
wife's in
wife?
the house, so much, huh? Okay, sorry.
No, of course not.
Do tell,
But I'm sure she'll be
Continue,
do
listening.
tell
continue.
us about your lady friend.
So what happened was, she was really worked up, in the sense that she was like, I hated the educational system. I guess she was one of those students who was belittled, probably,
Yeah,
Hmm.
huh?
or somebody just went up her ass the whole time for no reason. Even if they
It's
were a
just a
good student,
bad
how it is.
terminology,
Like
but
how
yeah,
like how the math teacher hated you, say, like that.
I
You
agree.
know,
Yeah,
yeah, for no reason. It was
I
not
agree.
like there was any reason why you
See,
should have been
that's
hated.
not a commentary on the education system. That's a bad teacher being an
Exactly. I'm
asshole.
just saying,
Going back, hey,
but
anybody who hasn't heard who an asshole is, listen to our previous podcast, and
yeah,
you will get the ref. No, bad teachers are a see. If you change the education, see, education system cannot be changed overnight. It takes generations to change, right? But it's always good to go in the right direction.
Yeah,
And I
true.
think the government has is going the right direction. It's not going to solve the problems in 10 years or
No,
20 years.
but dude, if you
It'll take time. By the time the kids who learn, my point is, by the time these kids learn in this new education system and then grow up to become teachers, right? That is when the
yeah,
education system will
exactly.
change.
No, oh, Bacha, that was seriously poignant. When they become teachers under the new reform.
When they choose to become
Yeah.
teachers.
no, the new reform is standardizing the education requirements for a teacher. So,
Oh,
which is they have to
that's
have 4 years of
okay, okay.
that.
So
They
they
should have 4 years of that BA, whatever, education or something like
and
that.
B.Ed and all that. But the point
Yeah,
is with
BEd, yeah.
that, even for example, a highly see the thing is learning is not an issue. Unlearning is an issue, right? So all these teachers who have been teaching in a particular way, they unlearn how to
Yeah, we
kind
got to change
build
that
grow
whole.
new wings and stuff like that. It's not going to happen. It's going to take 2 decades minimum, right? Or three
yeah.
decades. It's going to take a while, but expecting a miracle going to change things and India's GDP is going to skyrocket in 10 years because of this change in education system.
No,
Definitely
but
not.
we had to do it sometime, dude. It's like
Exactly.
40, 50 years or what?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, but I'll tell you something. If you make a reform a huge reformatory change right now.
Yeah,
If we do it now, for us to see anything out of this, it's going to take you at least 10, 20 years now. You need a whole graduate to come out from first standard
exactly.
to thing. So that is like what
Yeah,
15 years over there for you to even
15
see
years.
what
Then yeah,
the
then
study
study those
says.
4 years
So
of being a teacher,
exactly.
then
So
teaching the
yeah.
new kids.
Yeah, so it does take that long. So you can't hold the gun to the government and say you've not done anything. No, they did do, and that's why we are where we are, and we have the capability to talk about reforming our education, and there is a
It's a good
reform which is
direction.
happening. But the sad part is it's a slow process. It's
Yes,
a
yes,
slow
yes.
process.
No
That's
doubt
all it
about it.
is, and there is a scope for a lot of change. But I wanted to complete on the thing that I cut off, which is with this
Oh
conversation with
yeah.
this girl, which was she was like, I would never put my child into a school like that. I will only put my child into a school which is this time. But I was like, as much as I agree with you, I need to change this whole system. But if the method of testing this child at the end of the day is that standardization test, if I don't pass my child through this current educational pattern and I bring them to this, they will come there and then there is only one medical seat. Who do you think is going to get it? Right? The guy who ratified and got. So you need to change it across. It needs to change across
Exactly.
the board. It's not that you can have this system which is okay. Convent school la potena supra English pesa nalla padipa. No, it can't be only that. It means that across the board, the public sector, the private sector, all have to be on a level playing field. Only and education is a birthright. It should be a birthright. Every child should be given that opportunity. So I don't think there's room for capitalism in education. If you ask me, it should be across the table
Yeah, I
for
think,
everybody.
see,
Fair
but that's an
education for
ideal scenario saying that it cannot be a
capitalistic.
capitalist. How do you pronounce?
Capitalist statistic.
Thank you.
No, but I agree with the doc, dude. I think ideally this things like that should be non-negotiable.
Yeah,
Now,
just
remember,
like
we used to have something
healthcare.
called moral science. I'm not
You
sure
know,
if it's there or even now.
Some schools, I think only some schools had it, but I never had it. But what is moral
I
science?
think it shows Ash. I think it shows Arjun that you never had moral science
I never
as
had
a
moral
subject.
I
science.
think it was a Christian school thing. Actually, maybe it is because
But
that's what it was. I think.
possible. But I used to get highest in moral science. Only subject which
Oh,
I was
you
good at.
what a good boy.
Because
Somebody who had zero
because you know
morals.
how to fart really well.
But what do they tell you? I mean, what do they?
No, so there'll be stories and there'll be like, oh, friend in need is a friend indeed,
Oh, okay, like that.
and pride goes before the fall. So the story with
Story with
morals.
morals. So you'll have like Aesop's fables and all will be told to you.
Then what's our takeaway from all of this, and what you see is the change.
Okay, the take. I don't know. We ended it with saying. I mean, it's super. Everything's changed because yeah, it'll be like a legacy and it's going to take 40, 50 years. But it's great. We
I don't think everything has changed, but I'm just saying that it's an appreciated move. That there is a new reform which is being thought about
yeah.
and which is that's what I think we're going to debate what they have done and what are the changes and stuff like that. There are going to be a lot of loopholes in what the new reform also is. They're doing something. They're doing something. That's all.
It doesn't matter. They've done it. They've changed the system.
So well
Yeah,
appreciated.
they're going to change the system. They said they're going to change the system. So yeah,
Only time will tell.
only time will tell. What MA, BA pass, BSc, everything will come out in 40 years. Dude, imagine if there's this new
Yeah,
breed, man, of these like next set of 40-year-olds. Imagine the next set of 40-year-olds.
Yeah, so get ready to be pushed out by really young and smarter dudes, who are
And
more better equipped.
smarter. Yeah.
Yeah, they're much better equipped.
Elon Musk is working on something called Neuralinks, which is basically integrating AI with
Yeah,
our own brains. So our mental capacity will be much higher and our learning will be much
yeah.
accelerated. Whatever we're talking right
That's
now,
the future, dude.
it could
That's the
happen within 5 years. That is a crazy part. Whether it's education or not, it's the difference right now is not about content, but how it's been assimilated.
It's the
and the
pill.
speed of assimilation.
Ultimately, education will be a
It's the
pill.
pill.
It will be a pill, which is you take blue pill or the
Yeah,
red pill or whatever pill you take it, and then you got your set of information in your head and you're
So basically,
educated,
one out of three isn't
and you
bad.
can
There's
access
a
that
doctor.
information.
So that's a good kind of ratio.
back to the whole education thing, like we earlier said, that yes, it's going to take time to make these changes happen, and at least it's a step in the right direction, obviously. Second thing is, yes, I think access to education is far more higher. Like Ashish was mentioning earlier, that earlier it was only the privileged or the Brahmins or whichever higher sect that you came from, you had access to knowledge, whether it's the Vedas or science or whatever it might be. And then there is the whole apprentice kind of a version where you apprentice to be a blacksmith or a particular skill set, and then you hone in your profession. Right now, what's happening is there's such a quantum leap from what it was earlier, and the access to information is just at the fingertips right now. What the kids can do or the opportunities that they have is they live in a completely fast-paced, different world. This will change much faster, and the approach will change. It cannot be the same school, college thing that will exist, but it'll be a far more multi-dimensional kind of a learning which is going to happen. One is, yes, there is a school system, there's a college system or a formal education system. Then there's a very informal education system where you take up courses online. I think in the future there won't be anybody having just one job, right? You'll be having multiple jobs, because here I'm a event manager during the day. I'm a podcaster during the evening. I'm probably a music producer at night, and that kind of amalgamates into the person I am. It's no longer, oh, I'm just a doctor.
Yes, and that is what I want to see from our education, which is, you know what, and I think they are implementing that in the sense of majors and minor subjects and stuff like that, which you can mix and match. What you, if you're doing a math major or you're doing coding,
We
you
did.
can take
We
on
didn't.
Sanskrit if you want. You know,
We didn't have majors and minors earlier.
you can't mix like if you're doing biology, you're doing biology, physics.
Wait, I was doing BA Eco. Then I didn't have a minor.
That's the point. So now you can. So if you're
Oh,
doing
okay.
coding
Yes.
now,
Oh,
you can
correct.
say I'm going to take
Yeah.
music
Yeah.
as
Okay.
my thing. Who knows, later on you can put coding and music together, that you can use AI to write music. So you're allowing yourself different dimensions to grow when you have so much of accessibility to different fields, which is not necessarily the mainstream thing of maths, physics, chemistry, accounts, economic and thing. Instead of just you're giving them different skill sets, and then you can mix
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
match those skill sets and then say that now I can create something else with these two things. So you don't know what can come out of that. You have higher permutations and combinations of what can come out of it.
Exactly.
So that is a
Correct.
great
Yeah.
thing for me, and that is what I would like to see the future of education. Because you read an Enid Blyton, you read some other book, you had a different perspective of something. This kid doesn't have it. You checked guitaring out. You saw what music is. You built a creative side. The child is not creating a creative side, so he's just another brick in
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
wall. And that's where I'll end it today, with another brick in the wall.
We don't need no
Super.
education. We don't need no thought control.
No, we need education.
Hey, good
We
one.
need education.
Good one. But
We need change.
Yeah,
yeah,
if you're
yeah.
educated enough, you wouldn't listen to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Get out there and get some wisdom.